we say things like God's will over our own, I don't think we ever fully understand what it is we're saying. Holy Spirit, guide this conversation, and Spirit of the living God, fill my mouth with the right words so that I can get this through to the right person who needs to hear it at the appointed time. So, I was going to give like a little update on where I am, but I thought of the title, do we really want to get God's will done? Or are there hidden desires behind saying that? Are we just saying it for the sake of saying it? God has given me an opportunity of a lifetime, literally, and He's given me 3 outlets to do it through. All of these 3 outlets would be great, but there are 2 in particular that would just be amazing. I can't get into too much detail of it yet because I don't like to say things before they're done. But I'm doing something I've never done before, and I'm writing something I've never wrote before, and I'm pitching myself in a way that I've never done before. And it's scary because I only have one shot and I only have one chance, and I don't know if I'm going to flunk it or not. But I know that when those thoughts come up into our mind, we have to refute it because it is nothing but self-sabotage, trying to ruin what hasn't already been done yet. And right now I have to write something and do it in the best way possible. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I've been praying consecutively for about maybe like 3 days for God to have His way in my life and have His will over my will, because I know that He knows best and He knows what will work better than I do. And that is easy to say, but it's very hard to live out, because behind me wanting God to have His way, because I do know that He really does know what is best for us, but behind me wanting God to have His own way, I still want my desires to be fulfilled. I still want to get to that end goal. But in this point of my life and in this season of my life, I've learned, just because God has tied up so many loose ends, I have learned that the process is what makes the journey the journey. The end goal really means nothing, because once you get it, it's like, okay, what's next? Or, okay, what now? But the getting it process is what builds you. It's what builds your character, and it really is the most important part of your journey. And so I'm learning to love the process. And, I'm like, I could tell God, like, okay, I just want this thing. I want my desires to get this at the end. But my desire right now is to learn. My desire is to have His Spirit teach me. And it is really hard to live out letting God's will be done in your life, even when you think you know better. But like I have at the front of all my videos, and I say this is my favorite verse in the Bible, it's Proverbs 3 verses 5 through 10. And I'm only just going to read the first verse, but it says, "Trust the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways know Him, and He will make your path straight." And that's my favorite verse because my whole life is that verse. Proverbs 3 and 5 through 10. My whole life is literally learning to walk out that verse, and trusting God with all your heart really just means letting your spiritual guards down concerning God's will in your life. Now, you should never let your spiritual guards down because you need discernment, because every day we're living in spiritual warfare, but I let my spiritual guard down concerning what I want God to do in my life. Because sometimes we put this wall up when God's saying, okay, I want to do this in your life, or I want you to go left instead of right, or whatever the case may be. And we put our spiritual guard up and we say, well, no, I don't think that will be the best idea. Well, according to my spiritual senses, my thoughts, my ways, that might not be the best decision. And God says, my ways are not your ways and my thoughts are not your thoughts. And so concerning our relationship with God on a spiritual level, we have to put our spiritual guard down and not be stiff-necked and not be hard-hearted, because At the end, everything is always going to be all right. It always is. It always has been. We always figure it out. Things always work out just the way they were supposed to. But the process matters so much because it's what builds you. What did you take away from your last season? What are you going to learn in this season? And so for me, victory is my portion. The rest of this year and the whole of 2024, victory is my portion. But there's a process to victory, and the definition of victory is defeating or overcoming an enemy or defeating and overcoming an adversary. And so there's a process to that. There was a process to David defeating Goliath. There was steps included into that. And so when you say, God, your will over mine, you have to be willing to take every single step.